Hi everyone, Sandra here from createinspain and Siser Juliet Beginners to Pro. Thanks for joining me today. Even though it seems like it's only just past Christmas, it's now time to get ready for Valentine's. So to that end, I have a design for you that I've made, and it starts off with a front panel in gold foil, just because, well, I thought I'd give it a bit of oomph. So if you don't have any gold foil, but you have a gold vinyl, you can always put gold vinyl over some card and cut it as is. That's easier than trying to match up the edges. Now this particular one I already had cut. It was in my stash. Don't know quite why I cut it and didn't use it, but I didn't. But in the file I've included it so that there's a piece which looks very similar to this, and it's got the corners cut out of it. I've got a piece of red vinyl here which I have cut with the design, and I'm now going to do the very satisfying part of reading it. Now if you don't want to wreck your centres, don't lift them up with a sharp point like this, but I'm not keeping them. I've got a piece of transfer tape here. It's been used before, but I believe in using it until you can't use it any longer. Why waste money? So and because I know this isn't super sticky, I'm not worried about putting it onto my card either, because I know that it's not going to actually take the surface of the card off. Now, you'll notice with this one that I have some bits which are over the edges. Now this is because this is not the piece of card that I put in my design, okay? Because this was just a scrap piece that I already had. So in the case of this one, I'm going to have to trim off the extra little bits of vinyl. Now with this, I'm going to put it onto a white background. Now you could use a black, that would look nice too. It depends on the person that you're giving it to, whether they have an aversion to black. Oh gosh, some people really don't like it. I've put the front panel onto my card, and unfortunately, I use glue to do it, and I can see the lines of the glue on here. So if you're going to make this with a foil card, I suggest you use double-sided tape instead to stick the front panel on. I don't think I've ever noticed it doing that before, but it's done it today for some reason. Maybe it will go away as it dries. I don't know. Anyway, for this card, I've got my heart here with love on it. Now if you look at it carefully, you'll see that I have not got it properly lined up on the piece of plastic that I cut it out of. So what I would advise is that you put your vinyl over the plastic, if indeed you're using a vinyl and not just using card or something, but put it over your plastic first and then cut the heart out of the two things stuck together. It'll make your life a bit easier. So I've applied my sentiment to it, but I'm not just going to stick it onto the card like that, no. What I'm actually going to do is what's called a wobbler. And I don't buy wobblers to attach to my cards. I think that's a complete waste of money. There's an easy way of doing it. The first, sort of more traditional way of doing it is to get some very thin wire, wind it around something like a pen, sandwich the ends between a little bit of card, and then you attach one side to this and one side to that. And that's what I was going to do this morning, only I discovered I didn't have any really thin wire, and you need a very thin wire to do it, otherwise it's too stiff. So I had to go and find another way of doing it, didn't I? And I think I've done this before, but I couldn't find one of my old videos on doing it, so here we go. What I've got in the file are some spirals cut out. Now they are like this, but you can't see them like that, can you? So I've coloured one with an alcohol marker so you can see it. Now in the file there are two of these spirals, but as the way with spirals, if you cut out one you end up getting two. So yeah, you can experiment which spiral works best for your particular weight of either cardstock or plastic or whatever it happens to be. So I've got some sticky tape in here. Convenient little snipper there. And I'm just going to take a very small strip of tape off of that, just stick that onto the handle. Tiny bit of tape, And what I'm going to do is to put that tape so that the outer part, the bigger part, this part here, is where the tape is. And I would turn my heart upside down and put this in a way that everything is covered by the actual heart itself. So, nothing difficult about that. Now if you grab hold of the very centre bit, like this, you'll be able to see how well it does or doesn't wobble, and that seems to wobble quite well. You'll find there's a difference. It will depend on the weight of your card and the size of the spiral that you choose as to how well it wobbles. You don't want to be too loose because it will do that, and you don't want to be too tight because it won't have any wobble. If you find your heart doesn't have quite enough wobble, what you can do before you put your heart on completely so that it won't be removable, just give the plastic a bit of a stretch. That's the advantage of using a plastic one. If you do this with paper, you can't do anything about it. You can give it a pull and some of the memory will just sort of go from it. So it'll be slightly looser, or indeed you can actually bend something like that, make it stick out further. You've got lots of different options for getting the result that you actually want, and it does save you buying anything else. As I said, normally I would do them with wire, but I didn't have it, so there are options if you don't. I mean, this has got quite a lot of wobble on it. If I hold it like that, you can see it's quite difficult to demonstrate actually with the camera up above, and with this flat like that you can't tell that it wobbles, but it's got quite a lot of spring to it, as you can see if I just flick it like that. So there we go, a Valentine card with a little bit of an extra bit of fun. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Take care now.